Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's our 3rd anniversary, and like all good special events, gifts need to be given, and this is no exception. This is quite a nice big piece of Mallee Burl, and I'm going to be making something out of it to give to one of you. So if you want to find out how to win this, then stay to the end and you'll find out. Now what I have in mind for this piece is quite a large natural edge bowl, but I am going to be doing something with it that I've never tried for a very long time, and certainly not on anything quite this size. So the first thing we're going to have to do is mount it on the lathe in that orientation, hopefully on a worm screw. So at the moment we've got a very, very uneven surface, so I'm going to take it over to the drill press, put a force and a bit onto the top, clear an area for the worm screw, and then we can get it on. I'll just need to find somewhere which I deem as being the center. I think it's somewhere about there. Let's get my ruler out just to check. Yeah, wasn't a bad guess. Okay, there we go. We've flattened off a nice big area on the top now. Now normally I would go in with an 8mm bit for the worm screw, but because Mallee is an incredibly hard wood, I'm going to use an 8.5mm bit. This will ensure that I can get it on without splitting the wood or without cracking the surface. Okay, nice and safely on the lathe. Tailstock for support, obviously. We're going to be starting to turn at 720 RPM using a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. Now initially we're just going to be flattening off the surface and start turning up these edges. I haven't quite decided exactly what kind of shape we're going to put on this yet, but time will tell. Right, we've started. That looks quite a rough surface at the moment, but that's mainly because we're just using pull cuts. When we can pick up speed and start using push cuts as we're following the curve up, then that surface will improve. But at the moment it's a brutally hard wood. This is a very, very dry example of a brutally hard wood, so we are going to have a few struggles cutting it. I know a lot of people do resort to using carbides on this to cut it, but we'll carry on with our traditional tools for a while and see how we get on. Right, that's pretty much flat, so I'm going to start working up these edges now. I'm trying my hardest, but this wood is absolutely brutal. Right, we're starting to get a curve on. Now this is going to start changing the shape of the piece. We had a lot more area here before, but because it was so thin, that's disappearing pretty quickly. Now the areas we've got to be careful about are kind of around here, where the lower bits, I mean about an inch in, it's still only about 1/4 of an inch thick, so they are going to disappear. This bit round here is going to disappear, which is going to make the shape very interesting indeed. So we're going to persevere, carry on going. Hopefully the cuts will get better as we progress. I may have to resort to carbide, but we will continue going. Okay, cuts are improving. As you can see, it's starting to become a little easier. I'm just going to go and sharpen up again because, well, as you can imagine, it's absolutely brutal on the bowl gouge. So I'll do that and then we'll come back and carry on. But we're making progress. Okay, I'm exhausted already. Now I'm going to start thinking about how high up I take this curve. Now, looking from the top down, I've got a couple of kind of high peaks around this area, there and there, which I think would make a nice sized piece. There are other high bits a bit closer to the centre, but that's going to make the piece quite small, and I want it to be a decent size. I want it to be a usable size. So I think we need to take this edge up to about there. I think I'll just make a little mark on that, just so I can see where I am. I'll make it on this side, which is going to disappear. So there, and where else did I say? I suppose if I get rid of that, then it'll happen on the other side as well. Okay, right, back to the grindstone. Okay, progress is going okay. I'm about half an inch away from where I initially think I want to be, although that is always open to change. I'm resisting the temptation to put a glove on. You can see it's very, very red around there in my knuckles. That's from two things. First of all, it's from the chips coming off here. It's also from the hot shavings that we're turning away. So we're just going to carry on, going up the side, see how it goes. But I must admit, I've never had a piece of mallee this hard before. This is really quite brutal. Okay, we're nearly at that top bit there. I just did a couple of pull cuts to make that process a little bit quicker, but you can see the difference in what it does to the edge. So it's really got to be push cuts coming in from this edge, otherwise we just end up with this kind of raggedy mess. I've left this line here for a second just to explore it, to see how it looks. Sometimes I like to try and leave this kind of like a false bottom, like a bowl within a bowl kind of effect, but I don't think it's going to stay. It may go in a little bit closer and I'll give it another look, but as things appear to you as you're turning, it's handy just to leave it there, just to investigate it, just to see if it has possibilities or not. So I'm going to do a few more cuts in from this edge to sort out this side, and that'll get us to where I think we should be. And I'll take this line just a little bit further in, and we'll investigate having that as a detail. But I am going to quickly sharpen up again first. Okay, right, I'll push that line a little bit further in. I think it still needs to go in a little bit more because we're very, very close to that edge. Although I wouldn't normally mind that. I think I do in this instance. We've cleaned up these edges nicely coming in from the top. It's still such a hard cut because you're not cutting it all the way around. It's very, very hit and miss. So the tip of the tool is, there's an awful lot of vibrations there which are sometimes hard to control. Now, in terms of coming up this side, we are pretty much where we want to be, or where I think we want to be. Now, given that in mind, these bits here are still very low. Now, if you look at from this side, even if I take a few more passes, this dip goes in there. So we're not going to get this side any higher unless we take it in narrower. And I don't necessarily want to do that. I want to try and leave this as large a piece as possible, so it has as many uses as possible. So with that in mind, I think I'll just try and take this line a little bit further in to see if it's going to look okay, and then tidy up these areas. Then we can worry about the base and putting in a recess. Okay, those couple of passes helped, but I think we can do a little bit better. So I'm going to quickly sharpen up again and then have another pass. I'll kick up the speed a bit as well. Okay, that's certainly helped a lot. Right, so we can now worry about the base and the recess. I think that will do that for now. I'm going to set up for sanding. I'll let you watch a bit of it, and I shall bring you back when we're done. Well, sanding went well. I've managed to break my air gun in the process, so I'm having to use like the tyre compressor, but it's doing the job sort of until I can get a new one of these. Okay, so firstly we'll wipe off any excess dust with a bit of isopropyl alcohol, and we will look at this beautiful grain. There really is nothing like it. There's a wonderful darker area in the centre that you don't often get with Mallee Burl. It's usually like a lighter brown, but this round here is quite special, I think. Okay, I shall let this dry, and we shall come back and put it on a sealer. Okay, let's have plenty of time to dry. So I'm just going to go on with a shellac sealer. This is the blonde shellac again, so we don't want to darken this too much. I'm putting it on with a brush so I can get into all the nooks and crannies easily. Okay, when this has a chance to dry, I shall turn it round and we shall start on the other side. The final polish and everything will all come at the end. Okay, we've turned round, I've sharpened up and we can start again. Now, we do have a big mass of wood on the sides here that we need to cut down in order to get this balanced. At the moment we're turning it around 650. When this is gone, then we can certainly pick it up higher than that. Now, I'm sure somebody's screaming at the screen now, why don't you core it? Well, I would love to, but when you can show me a video of somebody coring this hard wood and I see how it's done, then I might be brave enough to give it a go. But at the moment, there is no way I would even chance it. So, little by little, we're going to start whittling away at this wood, clear the big masses off, and then hopefully reveal the bowl inside. Okay, good progress. It's hard to see what it's going to become, but we will soon get down enough for it to be all revealed, I hope. Right, I'm just going to sharpen up again and we will continue. Wow, this is hard. Right, a lot more of the heartwood's coming through now, which is brilliant. I've got to try and decide of how thick I want these walls. That's about 3/4 of an inch at the moment. I'd at least like it half that thickness. I think that would be good. When I do get it down to just about right thickness, and it's down to about there, then I'll sharpen up again and do some very fine passes, because once this is all hollowed out, making those cuts is going to be very tricky, because there's always a chance of the piece flexing, especially under speed. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that thickness. I'm just going to quickly sharpen up again, try and get the speed up on the lathe a little bit higher, and just do some finishing cuts on this top area. Okay. I'm better than I thought I was. Right, that looks pretty good. Right, we can start taking out this lump in the middle. I'll leave the tailstock there for as long as I can, just to give me support. And we'll take it away towards the end to make the final cuts. Right, to give you an idea of how hard this wood is, you can see those strange dips appearing on these cuts. That's because the wood has actually worn a hole into the tip of the gouge. I've never seen that before. Right, that's going to need a completely new profile putting on there. Right, I'll switch over to the 3/8 inch bowl gouge, and I'll do that later on. Okay, going well. We've got rid of the big mass in the middle pretty much. Now this is where I have to start working this back into the center, making sure I don't go through the bottom, so I'm going to keep a close eye on the thicknesses. It's good to see, if you remember on the other side, we had a darker area in the center, and you can see it starting to come through here as well, so that makes me very, very happy indeed. Just going to quickly go and sharpen up again. Okay, we are nearly there. I need to put a scrape across the bottom there just to flatten it off. But the wall thicknesses are feeling okay. Just get my little depth gauge. Yeah, that's pretty good on the center. Right, we just need to feather this edge in and flatten off the base. And then I think we're about there. We'll try the scraper first, see how that does me. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just a last sanity check. All the wall thicknesses are the same all the way around, which is good. So, yeah, we're ready for sanding. I'll let you watch a bit of it, and I shall bring you back when we're done. Okay, sanding's all done. It's come up nicely. It's always a challenge sanding pieces like this, but it is always worth the effort. So on again with isopropyl alcohol just to help get all the dust off the surface. Isn't that just amazing? Right, we'll let this dry, then I'll come back on with a sealer. Okay, all nice and dry. So back on with the blonde shellac sealer. There's no real words, are there, for this grain. It's just absolutely stunning in every single way. Okay, right, I'm going to let this dry. And while that happens, I'm going to pluck up the courage to tell you what we're doing next. Okay, that's all nice and dry. Now my original idea was to gild the edge. But looking at it, with all the little holes and everything like that, I don't think it will be very successful. So I am still determined to do something. So what I have got is some metallic gilding polish, and this is a copper colour. Now the reason why I've gone for copper as opposed to gold is because it's slightly darker, and the finish we're going to put over this won't, I don't think, detract from this colour at all. Now these polishes are quite nice. I've used them before a couple of times. They do need a bit of a water in them to help activate them, but they do go on, they do stay shiny, and they do dry very, very quickly. So in other words, hopefully I'll be able to see if I've messed up sooner rather than later. Right, let's give this a go. Okay, that's actually not too bad. It's not going to be a quick process. We're done. Excellent. I really think that looks nice. Right, I'm going to let this dry. Shouldn't take long. And while that's happening, I'll set up to put a final finish on. Okay, there's our piece all ready for its final finish. We're going to use a tung oil this time. The last time I used tung oil, I was really surprised at how beautiful the finish was. So that's what I would like to try and replicate with this piece. I've decanted a small amount into a little pot, and I'm going to apply it with a sponge brush. I'm going to apply the base first, then turn it over and do the other. Now the only real downside with tung oil is that it does take a very long time to dry. Each coat is going to take about 24 hours, especially in the British climate. I am going to apply fairly liberally this first coat, but once it's had a chance to sit for about 20 minutes, I am going to come back and wipe off any excess, just so it doesn't get too thick and too sticky. I don't have an awful lot of experience with tung oil, so if you've had a lot more than me, which is basically more than 2 pieces worth, and you've got any good tips, then please leave them in the description below. And of course, by leaving them in description, you're also going to be in with a chance of winning this piece when we've finished. Okay, there we go. That should about do it. Like I say, I'll come back in 20 minutes, wipe off any excess, and then in 24 hours I shall give it another coat. After that, if it needs another one, I shall do another one, then buff it up, and then we will come back and take a final look at what we're giving away. Well, there we go. A natural edge brown Mallee Burl from Australia, and the edges finished off with a metallic gilding polish. And I'm really pleased with the way that has come out. I think next time I try it, I'm going to try a darker colour. I've got a reasonable range of these colours in, and I think an even darker colour would become even more striking. But please let me know what you think about it in the comments. So anyway, as I mentioned at the start, this is going to end up in one of your homes in celebration of the channel being 3 years old. And it really has been quite an incredible journey. if you asked me at the start what I hoped to get from this channel, it was purely just wanting to share a passion I had. When I started this channel, it had only been turning for 1 year, so I was probably very green at the start. I wasn't very good. I'm not great now, but I certainly hope my passion for turning has in some way helped you with your craft or your turning or whatever you do. But I know one thing for certain is that I couldn't have done it without you. Your friendship and comments have turned this 3-year journey into something I couldn't have ever expected. And I would like to say a massive thank you to each and every one of you. So how do you win this? Well, it's not only this, is it? It's the piece we made last week as well. That was a celebration for hitting 50,000 subscribers, and this is for the 3 years. The fact that they came within a week of each other is a bit of a coincidence. It's certainly given me a few headaches, but we got through them both. If you would like to have the opportunity to win one of these 2 pieces, all you have had to have done is to have subscribed to the channel and to have left a comment on the last video since we last did a giveaway. Every comment acts as 1 entry, and you can comment as many times as you like. Anyway, the draw for these 2 pieces is going to be on Saturday the 5th of April. The format for that video is going to be slightly different to normal. I think I'm going to turn it into the question and answer session, which I've been promising you all for so long. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike, and I'd like to welcome you to the channel, for which is our first ever video. This week we're going to be taking a standard bowl blank, and using some simple techniques we're going to add a nice decorative inlay to the rim.